The truth about PvP gear in Shadowlands, how bad is it?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hi.
I think this video is probably going to upset a lot of people, but
Good.
I want to get this information out there. How bad are the PvP vendors? How bad is the PvP gear in Shadowlands? How grindy is it? How is the BG gear compare to the arena gear? What can you expect going into Shadowlands for PvP gearing? Well, a lot of you saw my last video where I talked about the issues with the vendors, and since then there's been some changes. And I know Venruki recently reacted to my video. I think Stoopzz also made a video, so shout out to them for doing that, because I'm not the biggest wow YouTube guy. I just can work hard on the video, create a spreadsheet, put the information out there, and then it can go through the circuit if people agree with what I'm sharing in the video. That's the best that I can do.
Is volume good?
I'm really happy to see other people coming along, and I really,
I'll take it a bit up.
If you agree with anything that I'm saying in this video, please share this with larger YouTube or streamers that you watch, larger content creators, your favorite PvPers, whatever you can do to get this video out there, or videos like this out there. I don't even care about the views. I just want this to not be the system that we have, because I think it's completely unfair, but we'll talk about that with some effort from the community, not just the people making the videos. We can get a lot done, and you guys did an amazing job in my last video, so I really do appreciate that. So what I have here is a spreadsheet showing you all of the desired PvP stats for all classes and specs. I even included prot specs in here.
So this is showing their best two stats.
Whatever. So basically you have warrior, hunter, priest, monk, etc. And every class in the game wants a versatility combination. I asked a lot of people from different specs, high-rated players, and I asked some people from the recent tournament what they thought. And Warlock, for example, could be Haste Mastery. Sometimes you see Haste Mastery. Sometimes you see Haste Mastery Resto Druids. But overall, everyone agreed that they wanted Haste Versatility and maybe some Mastery or combinations like that. But for every class in the game, you can see.
I think people might be overvaluing Verse right now in the Shadowlands beta because of how strong Burst is. But I'm not a PvPer, and so that's probably just this could be an uninformed opinion. But I do think it's possible. But the thing is with Verse also is that Verse has like a double effect, and usually in PvE, like the damage that you take isn't as relevant unless you're a tank.
Haste Versa for like 90% of the classes. Then you have some classes that want versatility mastery, and then for Holy Paladin, crit versatility, and then maybe some crit haste as well to hit that haste threshold. So these are the desired PvP stats, which are extremely important to perform well in arena, right? Or any form of PvP, you're not going to do well if you don't have these stats. You're just going to get run over. So basically, I want to show you now what's currently on the conquest vendor. This is the arena vendor. This is the highest tiered PvP gear that you can get.
Best gear in the game.
Conquest, so rated battlegrounds and rated arena that you can rank up. This is different than the BG gear, and I'll talk about the BG gear in a second and what the issues are with that. It's not good. So when you're looking at this, let's say you're playing a mage, for example. Every mage spec wants haste versatility. Well, these are the options that you have. This is what you're looking at if you want to play a mage and gear through PvP. There are no cloth haste versatility pieces at all. None. There's one helmet, one shoulders, one chest, one gloves, one bracers. You get it. And these are the stats that are available. Here's the color key. There's crit mastery, helm and shoulders, haste mastery. There's for some reason a bunch of haste mastery here, and then some classes have like no haste mastery. There's actually a ton of haste mastery in general, but there's no haste versatility options for cloth on this vendor.
Like, this worked fine in BC. This worked completely fine in BC. Do you know why? Because there was only like 8 different pieces of gear that your character could equip from the max level content. There was like tier 4, tier 5. There was season 1, season 2, a few crafted pieces, and that's basically fucking it. But here in the game now, where you have every single different fucking option. Do you want haste versatility? No, I don't want haste versatility. I want haste main stat and versatility secondary stat, with the primary amount of the budget of the item to be focused around haste. And it's like, oh, okay, well, go do Siege of Borealis. And you can hyper optimize your gear to the point to where you're getting the exact stats that you want in every single piece of gear slot. And it's because of Mythic Plus and these gear vendors and these gear slot machines. Not from PvP. Exactly. And this is the problem, is that unless you make every single combination okay, you're going to run into situations where there's a structural disadvantage that certain classes are put under because their spec doesn't have the gear from the vendor. This is, you know what I mean? What are you kidding me? This is crazy.
If you look at plate and you wanted to play an arms warrior or an unholy DK, there's one helmet with haste versatility, and that's it.
Oh, good.
Now, you do have your neck, your cloak, and your rings, but those are universal amongst all classes. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay, these are all of the options you have for gearing. If you wanted to play a monk and you wanted verse mastery, there's one. There is one verse mastery item for leather.
Do you want to hear what my fucking 300 IQ, it's either 300 or negative 300 take is? I think that it should be like this. I don't like the idea of having every single piece of gear only have the same 2 stats on it. I think that it's boring. I think that meta is fucking boring. But here's the problem, is that you can't take my methodology and just apply it to the game. Because if you just apply it to the game and you don't change the way that gear acquisition works, people are still going to do it. It's just that other methods will suck more. It's going to happen anyway? No, it won't. Not if you have if you don't have unlimited gear farms, it's not going to happen. The reason why this happens is that people have unlimited gear farms that allow them to get really good gear. And on top of that, the unlimited gear farms are then only itemable, let's say 465. And yes, I'm going to talk about that. What itemable are we even on right now? Yeah, 465. Yeah, they're itemable 465 for Mythic 10s or Mythic 15s, whatever the fuck. And here's what happens, is that you do one of those, you get that gear, and you can just do it again. And it doesn't matter if some dude's got the fucking crit haste sword from Mythic N'Zoth that's like 485. Do you know why it doesn't matter that there's a difference between those 2 fucking skill levels? Or item levels? The fucking scaling. So the scaling actually works against Blizzard trying to work and get diversity of stats. It's the fucking scaling. Like, we're not even 30 minutes into the video, and I'm like, this is a 10-minute video already. This is incredible. So, like, they have this system that actually promotes something that they don't want. If the scaling wasn't in the game, then you would have people that would use the best gear that they could possibly have, which would then create an avenue for Blizzard to create the highest conquest gear possible with different stats, and it would be okay because the higher item level gear would be ultimately better because it wouldn't be offset by a scaling apparatus that shouldn't even fucking exist. Three minutes into the video, it's been 10, let's go.
But you look at leather for haste versatility, there's 3 options, where cloth has none. So amongst the armor types, it's not even. To be honest, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, it really feels like these are just completely randomized stats. Like, they just...
What do you think that they are? What do you think they thought about this? You think they thought about... Well, just like they thought about corruption, right, dude? Yeah. They're like, yeah, this shit where people get one shot by like Twilight Devastation. Like, man, like, how do you make a 50% nerf? Do you know how you make a 50% nerf? It's easy. You don't do any beta testing.
They just like RNG, like a number generator, and just spit out a bunch of stats. And this is what you're looking for, because they're not even amongst armor types. Some classes have no crit haste, some have some. And I also want to talk about the stats in general that are on this vendor. Recently, someone commented on my last video, and I want to put it up here on the screen. I'm not calling this person out. I really don't care. I just want to use this guy's opinion because I think it's a great example. I don't want any division between the PvE and PvP communities. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to do types of content that they don't enjoy to feel optimal. I think small minor crossover is great. If you need a trinket that comes from the raid, I have no problem going to go do that.
That's fucking great, dude. Like, that's exactly the same way that I feel. People pretend like this is a team. Like they want, this is the thing, they literally want the game to be worse so they can feel like they're winning whenever they're part of an imaginary fucking team that they put themselves in their own goddamn mind that doesn't even fucking exist. And PvPers do the same thing. It's just it's the mentality is fucking stupid. Nothing is really specific in general to any group. It's the same thing.
Grade now anyway, but for the majority of players, a lot of people that I talk to quit this game because of the PvP gearing in previous expansions, like in BFA.
I wonder why.
Right? The guy in the comment essentially said,
imagine playing PvP. You play the game for PvP. You want to be a PvPer, and you can't be a PvPer. You can't. If you want to be a PvPer, you have to spend most of your time raiding. I think that as a general fucking rule, your mode of gameplay should be the most regular mode that you are doing. So, for example, let's say you're going to, you're a PvPer. You should spend most of your time PvPing in order to get your item progression. Let's say you're a PvEer. You should spend most of your time PvEing for your item progression. In BFA, you just have to fucking PvE no matter what. Because, and again, the funniest fucking thing about this is one of the biggest reasons that necessitates this is the scaling. Because if you didn't have the scaling, you could maximize your rewards that were higher item level and the stats wouldn't matter as much.
That, like hardcore raiders
what a cock.
Have no problem doing PvP. PvPers should suck it up and
that's
do
not even
mythic
true.
raiding, essentially. First of all, not everyone's a hardcore raider. Not everyone is a hardcore PvPer.
No.
It's just the content that they enjoy. Maybe they log on for 2 to 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. They have a job. They have a life. They don't have time to do all that type of stuff to feel optimal in the game. I'm not talking about to feel like the best geared character in the game. We're just talking about to feel optimal. To feel like your character is how it should feel. Right? It has nothing to do with that. But I want to further elaborate on this guy's point because I want to show you guys the issues here. So when looking at all of these are the options you have, right? For cloth, you literally have, 8 options? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options. Now, if I go over to this spreadsheet and I go to cloth, these are all of the items that are currently available in PvE for cloth. Look at how many options you have. Mm-hmm. You have 5 helms, 5 shoulders, 6 chests, 6 legs.
And he's not even counting the crafting and the legendary gear. That's the thing, is he didn't even think of that. He's not even counting that. It's even more than this.
There are almost more leg cloth options than you have total for cloth in PvP. I mean, come on, guys.
It's even worse.
This has nothing to do with trying to make PvP gearing overpowered or the best possible gearing in the game.
No.
I just think it should be fair. I mean, it's just not fair. This is wrong. The stats don't even make sense. It really feels like, and I'll get to this in the BG portion as well, but I want to mention this now. It really feels like that they want to incentivize, and at this point, if you're cloth, if you're plate, if you're, a monk, there's tons of examples I could go through. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. If you're one of those classes, you're essentially forced to PvE if you want to PvP. Otherwise, you're just going to suck in PvP. They essentially are forcing PvPers to partake in PvE, but they're doing whatever they can, maybe after Blood of the Enemy, whatever they can to not compel PvEers to PvP.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. I like the idea of being able to get that extra jump and the extra pump, from doing PvP as well. Like, I like the idea, like, oh man, I've got all my gear, but I still need a pair of bracers. Well, fuck, man. I'll save up my conquest and I'll buy my bracers. Like, that was one of the best fucking things about TBC, is like every good raiding guild did this. You saved up all of your arena points, and then as soon as you got to the point to where you could buy a weapon, if you didn't already have a weapon from the raid, you'd buy a weapon. And if you got a weapon, then you'd buy PvP gear. And people used PvP gear to supplement and augment their characters for raiding. It was fucking awesome because it created this dynamic where you had players coming in from both fucking spectrums. You had PvE PvP players wanting to do PvP because it had really good gear, and you had PvP players wanting to raid because of cool trinkets. It was great. It was amazing. I loved it. It was why I started raiding, is because I had a really good PvP gear. So yeah, I understand some people only want to play one element of the game. That's fine. And I think you should be able to get 90% of the way there if you only play one element of the game. But I do believe that you should have to play World of Warcraft if you want your character to be as effective as possible in World of Warcraft. And there is an exception to this. For tournaments, I think everything should be fair. Everything should be 100% the exact same. Tournaments, 100%. But for ladder, like an in-game, 100%. Yeah, well, let people get cool trinkets and cool shit like that.
But it's like, you're okay with it one way, but not the other way. It doesn't make any sense. I don't think that PvP gear should be the best gearing in the game, but it should be somewhat equal. I also want to mention that
and it would be equal. Do you know how they can make it equal, Stoopzz? This is how they can make it equal. Add a PvP specific stat so they don't have PvP gear competing with PvE gear. Problem fucking solved. And tune the stat to where the gear is still relevant in raiding as well. That's it. That's all they fucking need to do.
Intention is to not make PvEers feel compelled to PvP. Why do you put these stats on there? Haste mastery, crit mastery, crit haste. These are PvE stats. These are desired PvE stats for a lot of classes.
Yeah.
Crit verse for some classes as well. I mean, nobody wants haste versatility in PvE except tanks and potentially demon hunters this patch. And even then, it's like, it's okay that some items come from somewhere else. And not to mention, and we're going to get into the BG portion of this video, that in order to acquire these items, it's going to take you 1 to 2 weeks, at best, 1 to 2 weeks at best to acquire one of these items. It's not like you can go to this vendor and just literally buy everything, or you can go do a dungeon, or you can go do a raid, and you can acquire multiple items per day. People can trade you items. You can get traded items, and you can acquire multiple items in a single day. It's great. I know they recently changed dungeons, and you get 1 item per dungeon, but still, you can get multiple items in a day. At this rate, it would take you 1 to 2 weeks. Now, for some of you that were excited about BG gearing, someone did an amazing thread here, and I want to go over it, and I did validate and go through some of his numbers based on what's currently available on the beta, the honor numbers. Essentially, this guy calculated how long, if you don't know this, the gear that you get through conquest and honor, you rank it up. You go to this guy, you put it in there, you spend extra honor, and it levels up the item, increases the item level. Yeah. As you can see here, rank 1 all the way.
And we looked at this before. We looked at this yesterday. This was on the Shadowlands beta. So yes, this has been calculated, and so we'll see what this leads to.
Rank 6. Okay. This guy calculated it, and with the current honor values, even if this gets tuned a little bit, the current honor values to get a full set of rank 6 gear, which is 190 item level, which I think Mythic 0, a Mythic 0, base Mythics, which people will be doing the first day. People are going to be doing the Mythic 0s the first day of launch. A Mythic 0 drops 183 item level. Rank 6 BG gear offers 190. Now, do I think BG gear being at 190 is a fine number? I actually think it's okay, but the fact that you have to rank it up 6 times to get to a level that's adequate to Mythic Zeros, I think is outrageous. And if you were excited to gear through BG, well, guess what? You better start doing a lot of battlegrounds, because this guy calculated it, and with his math, at an average of 15 minutes per BG with a 50% win rate, you're going to have to do 627 battlegrounds to get a full set of rank 6 Mythic 0 gear. That equates to...
What is that, dude? Let me watch this.
156 hours of BG time. Not
156 hours in a goddamn BG. 150 fucking 6 hours. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, I don't understand this. Like, I really don't get it. Like, why does Blizzard do the things that they do? I don't understand. It makes literally no sense at all. They're phasing out PvP. Do you think that, like, it feels like almost like Blizzard actively like resents PvP in the game or something? Because it doesn't make any sense for them to make this massive fucking disparity. Like, who cares if somebody gets good honor gear? Like, the thing is the time investment, like, it takes no skill to do a Mythic 0, and it takes no skill to win a Battleground. Like, let's just be honest. Like, you get carried by your team in BGs, you get carried by your team in the Mythic 0. Like, this is a 0 skill activity. These are both literally 0 skill activities. So why is one 0 skill activity 10 times more lucrative than another 0 skill activity? It makes no fucking sense.
Total time in the game, BG time.
Yeah.
That's 6.5 days straight, 24/7 of BGs to get a full set of 190 gear.
Imagine farming for that.
I don't know what to say. You know, I just feel like when I look at this and all the options that are available, and I know not every combination is available through PvE because of the removal of Azurite, your shoulder slot is now something that you have to equip onto that has stats. You have to get a cloak now and a neck. I know you're not going to have every combination, but you have multiple options to choose from for better itemized stats. You can choose stats that are closer to what you want, and in general, you might not get like 1 to 2, maybe 3 items. Yeah. If you're looking at this, you're getting 0 cloth items with haste verse, 1 item for verse mastery, 1 item.
I like that. It'll be easier for me to kill mages.
I mean, it's just, it's honestly, it's just laughable. I don't even know. I'm not even like, I'm just shocked. I'm not even angry. I'm just literally shocked that this is.
So this is the thing, is like, people are comparing this to Classic WoW. It's completely bad comparison. Here's why. Is because the Classic WoW PvP gear, if you played Classic WoW PvP for a really long time, you got gear that was pretty much equivalent with AQ 40. So you were able to skip like 2 entire tiers if you got that gear. Like, even in Nax, like, you could, if you had everybody, I would say probably if you had everyone in BWL offset gear and ranking gear, you could probably clear the first half of Nax easily. And a good guild would probably do the whole thing. Like, there's no comparison. Like, Classic WoW, at least at the carrot at the end of like Classic WoW PvP is much better than the carrot that's here. This isn't even like a carrot. It's like a fucking little carrot nub. You know, like that. You know, like where it has a little top of it, and like you don't eat the top, you cut it off, and like you throw it in the garbage. That you're fucking crawling on up there for the little nub. The little fucking nub.
Is the system that we have, and it feels wrong, dude. It feels
Jesus.
For me, for promising these vendors, for going through BFA, someone that did keys, mythic rated. I did what I was supposed to do PvP, but there are so many people that don't want to do that. No. And when you design a game, a product, it's about what solves the issue for the consumer. Yeah. It's about, like Joe Dirt says, it's not what you like, it's the consumer. And if the consumer wants this, just make it happen. Haste Burst isn't even needed in PvE for almost like 90% of all classes. So why not put it on the vendor, or at least give them more options?
I think this is an issue that that like Blizzard's had for a while, is they're designing the game kind of in opposition of the player base, and I think that like they have a what's like really the word for it? They have like a goal or like an idea of what they want to see the game be, and they're willing to pursue that goal at the expense of the player base. And I feel like that's a very, very bad road to go down. And I respect Blizzard's decision to go down their own path and make their own decisions. I think that's great. But here's the problem, is that just because you're doing that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always the right decision. Like, it's not always bad. It's not always good. I think this is bad. I think other decisions that they've made were good. Like not having flying for the majority of WoD, I think was a good decision. Then adding it back with Pathfinder, I think was also a good decision. There's plenty of times whenever Blizzard does something and they won't relent on something, and I think it's a good decision.
And even if it's a good way to gear, it's like if PvEers are going to have to go out and do PvP, they don't have to do it. They can literally just do dungeons or raids like they always have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They've always done dungeons or raids since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of WoW, I should say. And then it takes them 1 to 2 weeks to get an item anyway. 1 to 2 weeks per item is too attractive gearing for PvEers to feel compelled. I don't know. I don't know. Putting this together really opened my eyes on the whole system. I wanted to share that with you guys. I'll make this public. I'll put it in the info box below once I'm done fleshing it out. I want to add some visual things to it just to have it as something that you guys can use as a resource. What is the solution now to this? Essentially, add PvP specific stats, better itemize the stats on this vendor if you're not going to add those specific stats, which they seem opposed to doing, or remove all non-versatility combinations, which would then make it so that PvP gear is, for most classes might not be useful in PvE, but at least would split the two communities. The issue with that, though, is that if somebody wants to try a unique build with different stats that aren't versatility based, well, then they're going to have to go farm it in PvE, but you're going to have to go do that anyway. I mean, with this system, you're literally going to have to go do PvE anyway. So I think if you include every versatility combination, verse mastery, haste verse, and crit verse, those three,
I really hope, I think it's a better, like what he's saying is definitely a better solution than what they have. So I don't want to take away from that at all, but I actually really don't like that solution. And here's why. Because you're effectively taking the customization options that a player has from 2 to 1. Like, that's the issue, is that now if versatility is like just the stat that everybody should have, then it's no longer an interesting gearing choice. It's just get versatility. Like, I don't know. I feel like that sucks. It's just, it's boring, man. Like I think that if they make versatility a tertiary stat for PvP only, it should not compete with the other main stats like mastery, haste, and crit. It shouldn't compete with them. And that would make it to where you could actually make interesting gearing choices. You could change the way that you play your character in PvP. Like, I remember back in Mists of Pandaria, I'd watch like fucking Zaryu and Venruki, and like, Zaryu or Venruki would have like this fucking badass fucking full mastery build, and they just delete somebody with like massive frost damage. And then another time they'd have like this massive fucking big dick haste build, and they're just dropping bombs on people 1, 2, 3. Like, that is one of the coolest fucking things, man. Like, I'd love to see that. And at Reforging, maybe, I'd like that too. But the reason they're able to do that is because there are other options in gearing. And I'd like to see more of that. Like, I hate the fact that they don't have a PvP exclusive stat. And the funny thing about it is that I actually thought this would be a good thing. I thought it'd be like, oh, wow, it's like vanilla WoW where there was, PvP gear and PvE gear could coexist. But I was too fucking stupid to realize they had that in BC too. You just don't need to make the item budget that high for the tertiary stat. I was wrong. We need it. We need a PvP exclusive stat. If we don't, we're going to get shit like this. And it's always going to happen every fucking time. And nobody's ever going to be happy, because if you have the PvE gear be too strong, then PvPers aren't happy. If you have the PvP gear be too strong, then PvEers aren't happy. Add the tertiary stat and you can balance them separately.
Those three combinations, that goes back to the initial 3 items or 3 combinations per item slot like we've had in every other expansion. PvP gearing has been around since the beginning of WoW. Yeah. I don't think it's something that should be just thrown under the bus. I think Blizzard really misses the opportunity to capitalize on PvP, because at the end of the day, you guys, there is no game that competes with WoW PvP. There's no MMO style PvP game like WoW. I mean, there's some other options out there, I know, but they have a whole market.
People that play WoW for its PvP are not going anywhere. They're not going to go and play Final Fantasy for PvP. They're not going to go and play Guild Wars for PvP. They're not going to go and play League of Legends for the PvP. Like, they might do that because they like that game too. Same as like I play like Call of Duty or something like that, or PUBG. But that doesn't mean that I'm playing that instead of WoW. Like, the itch that WoW scratches for a lot of these players for PvP is something that's unique. You're not going to get it out of another game. We have to get this one to work. There's not going to be another game that's going to come out. Like, New World is not going to be the same thing. It won't. Like, New World will never have the depth of combat that I think WoW PvP has. It's just, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think that it will ever have the depth of combat. And it's the same as plenty of other games too. Like Ashes of Creation, I don't know. I really don't think so. I think that the way that WoW is designed is fundamentally like it allows for people to play the game in PvP in a very, very unique way. And I don't know. I'll just keep playing.
If they just spend more time on it, they can make it more enjoyable. More players would be incentivized to PvP. More players would come back to the game.
Yeah.
You'd have more players just involved in PvP, which would make them say, hey, like, we'll probably tune it more and add more incentive. But if no one's participating because your system isn't good, it's like a cycle.
That is actually a really good point.
Because people aren't playing.
That's a very good
because
point.
you're not making changes, people aren't playing. If you want more subs and more players to come back to the game, this is an easy fix and a great way to boost morale before Shadowlands.
Yeah.
I really, truly believe that. I think just a small change of these vendors can make it great. But right now, you're looking at, you know, a bajillion hours of Battlegrounds before you complete your BG gear, and you're looking at getting like 0 of the items that you actually want on this vendor. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to over-exaggerate. You might have some options. Like, for example, leather, you have a couple options for sure. If you're haste versatility like a demon hunter. But outside of that, good luck. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to share this video with your friends, your favorite streamer, whatever, anyone that you think
I guess that's why you guys
would
shared
be
it with
interested.
me, right?
Again, if you don't agree, I understand that completely. I'm not here to force anything onto you guys. I just want to fight for what I think is right because this is wrong in my opinion. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I'll see you guys all in the next one.
PvP vendor problem. This is his original video.
Here we go again. Now, if you agree with anything that I say in this video, if you're someone that hates the fact that you can't get a full set of gear from PvP or dislike the fact that PvEers have a massive advantage in PvP,
which
and I don't just mean a sweet weapon from the raid or a cool trinket because I'm all for fun.
Hell yeah.
But if you agree with anything that I say in this video, please comment, share, give a like for the YouTube algorithm, retweet, post on Twitter, on the official forums, whatever you can do to help this video spread and generate awareness. It could make the difference in making Shadowlands an enjoyable PvP experience for all players. In fact, for showing your support in the cause, I'll be giving away a copy of Shadowlands in my next video.
It's literally exploding with color.
All you have to do is like the video, be subscribed.
I should get a collector's edition of it.
PvP
When's AQ40? It's pretty soon.
In World of Warcraft. Now, I bet you were excited for PvP vendors coming back in Shadowlands, right? You saw it on Twitter. You read about it on the official Blue Notes. You watched one of Dollar1 Gaming's videos where he clogs up your entire recommended feed with clickbaity dueling videos. You were excited to hop into some BGs with your boys on Discord and farm a full set of gear just to step into Arena like the old times, right?
See, this is a thing. I swear to God, I didn't know this was about to happen. I didn't know this was going to happen, man. So, listen, that's the thing. It's like me and Zach and like fucking Austin and all the boys, dude. We used to all like just chill. Soy, Nixium's not soy, okay? He's a fucking Viking. I don't want to hear that. So that kind of shit was fucking amazing, man. Like, that was what you would do on like at night, like after raids, is like you'd go and you'd do BGs with the boys. That's what it was about. I love that.
Oh my God! Yes! Finally!
There it is.
It'd be like the old times because the vendors are coming back, right?
Yeah.
Well, not exactly. These vendors are seriously flawed. In every expansion prior to Legion, World of Warcraft had PvP vendors allowing players to farm a full set of gear through various forms of player versus player combat. However, when Legion hit, we lost those vendors, but it wasn't that big of a deal because the gear didn't really matter in PvP due to their new scaling system.
Well, it wasn't the Legion scaling system. Is he gonna actually explain
this? Was a little boring, but it made up for the fact that we did not have those vendors that everyone liked so much.
Yeah, so it didn't matter what your gear was. The only stat that mattered on your gear was the item level in PvP. That was it. It didn't matter if you had haste, mastery, crit, expertise, versatility, armor penetration. It didn't fucking matter. Everything was just correlated right to your item level. And it was completely balanced around that. And that was terrible. And PvPers wanted this, and they were wrong. A lot of PvPers, even like guys I've talked to about this, right? Like noteworthy PvPers, they were like, yeah, we wanted this. It turns out it sucked. We thought we did, but we didn't. It is what it is. And so, yeah, I think that I think it was even worse in Legion, but Legion skirted this problem. He's actually right. Legion never had the problem that we had in BFA because the stats on the gear never mattered in the first place.
But when BFA rolled around, we actually lost that scaling system and gear became extremely important, and we still had no vendors. And yes, this is when the issue really started to arise. No vendors, no reliable way to gear through PvP, and gear becomes perhaps the most important factor when trying to succeed in PvP or rated arena. Players began to buy gold, WoW tokens, or even carries through mythic raids just to have a massive advantage over their opponents, leaving me, the guy with $50 in his bank account, sitting in the dust. Now I love PvP.
Let's see what this is, right? I want to see what Dilly said. I love reading the class discords that have PvEers complain about a minor DPS upgrade from one PvP item if they want to min-max. My biggest trigger, because I'd love if that's how PvE gear was an integrated into PvP. Min-max if you want, but whenever you cannot PvP without PvE, it's awful. Yeah, it's exactly it. Yeah, look, Sea-Doo, Mythic Nihilothic carry, like, yeah, this is all it was, man. Everybody was just getting carried. Like, all of the PvPers were just buying carries because, and like, they did this in Wrath, too. Like, I remember, like, my guild and, like, other guilds and GDKP runs did this all the time, is, like, you would have PvPers that would just go to Sarfang, and then they would roll for Deathbringer's Will, and then they would leave. Like, it happened every fucking week, man. And casters would go up to, was it Festergut? I forgot, was it Festergut? Was it Rotface? I think Rotface that dropped DFO, Dislodged Foreign Object, was like the caster equivalent of Deathbringer's Will. Yeah, Rotface, yeah, there you go.
Leaving me, the guy with $50 in his bank account, sitting in the dust. Now I love PvP, so I decided to join a mythic raiding guild and earn my way through the ranks and got cutting edge, went 12 of 12 mythic just to be able to compete on an even playing field, which is quite the task for the average casual. Now these vendors are supposed to be able to fix that, right? I can get a full set of gear through PvP now. You know how Raiders and Mythic Plus players are able to get a full set of gear from their own content? Well, my friends, that is wishful thinking. These Shadowlands vendors only have 3 stat iterations per item, meaning on this vendor, you won't be able to get a full set of gear with the stats that you want. There are no haste verse capes on this vendor. There are no verse mastery rings on this vendor, which implies that if you want to go out and compete at a competitive level, you're going to have to go raid or go do Mythic Plus to complete your gear, while PvEers will never have to cross over to do PvP to complete their own sets of gear unless they're looking for some hypothetical trinket, in which case I'm totally fine with minor crossover as I think it's healthy for the game.
I agree.
But how ridiculous is that?
I big agree.
How does the best gear from PvP not come from PvP? That's like saying if you want to raid in WoW.
Well, it's not that the best gear doesn't come from PvP. It's that none of the best gear comes from PvP. Because it's not like, oh, wow, well, you know, one item I can get from raiding, so why doesn't the best gear come from PvP? No, it's that none of the best gear comes from PvP.
You need to go out and farm a full set of PvP gear to defeat the final boss in a mythic raid. Like, what? Players would lose their minds. Well, that's exactly what has happened in BFA, and similar things are going to happen in Shadowlands with these vendors. In WoD and in previous expansions, the vendors only had items with 3 stat iterations, similar to what you're seeing in Shadowlands. The catch is that those items in those expansions had PvP specific stats. You know, like resilience, or perhaps you've heard of PvP power.
I actually forgot this happened with the PvP item level. So like what it was in WoD is like you'd have this gear that would scale up to this level in PvP, but you also would join into a BG and it would scale you down. So it basically took all of the PvE gear and it took it down to the PvP level, and it took all the PvP gear and it would take it up to a certain level. So it balanced everybody out into BGs, which is like, it kind of sucks, right? But I'll be honest, I'd rather this system than what we're getting in Shadowlands. That's the truth. I'd rather this than what we're getting in Shadowlands. WoD was actually good. Well, in this circumstance, I think that it was better than what we have now. Yes. Hit points difference is a problem in PvP? No, it's not, because the hit points difference is calculated by stamina, and stamina values are calculated by the item level. That's not true.
those were specific stats that were only on PvP gear, meaning that if you couldn't find a haste first ring on the vendor, you would still use a PvP ring despite it having the wrong stats,
because it had the right item
as
level.
that specific stat that they put on that PvP gear would make up for the difference. Well, in Shadowlands, and according to Ian in this interview, which is in the description box below, we will not be having PvP specific stats. So essentially, you're out of luck. Now, the reasoning behind them not including PvP specific stats was pretty hilarious in my opinion. Ian essentially states that they do not like the idea of needing a second set of gear for PvP. It creates too much confusion, apparently.
Wait a second. There's a lot of extra complexity with gear management that comes with the old system we moved away from, which is why you need an entirely separate set of gear just for PvP. How many helmets do you guys have right now? How many pairs of bracers do you guys have with that have corruption on them? 7, 6, 5, 0. Oh, why? Because you quit? It's where you need an entirely separate set of gear just for PvP. Like, how can Ian say this and then have like Azerite the way that it is? Like, I don't understand. And corruption the way that it is. Like, I like, sometimes I know Ian plays the game, but like, this is clearly like, this goal has not only not been reached, but it's worse than it was at the time that the supposed problem was in the game. Because back then, you had your PvP gear and you had your PvE gear. That's it. It wasn't a bunch of other shit.
Now, I'm not trying to insult anyone by saying this, but how does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
In BFA, I literally have add-ons to switch out my essences every single arena match or for specific boss encounters. I have multiple sets of gear for everything I do in the game thanks to corruption, and also the desired stats for PvP and PvE are always different, meaning that I'm going to need 2 sets of gear anyways. Now, I get for the most part they're trying to...
It's actually true. Yeah, you're going to need 2 sets of gear anyway because you have different fucking stats. I never even thought of that. Yeah, you have different fucking stats. Let me finish this one, though.
In Shadowlands. But it's pretty ironic that they're adding more borrowed power systems like Covenants, Soulbinds, and Conduits, which players are obviously going to be swapping around depending on the type of content they're doing. And rightfully so, because it's an MMO and everyone likes customization and options. So I'm not quite sure how that makes any sense. These vendors were designed for PvP specific stats, causing them to feel incomplete, and more importantly, these vendors feel like a misleading promise from the development team. However, I can't just rip apart these vendors without providing a solution, and it's pretty simple.
They absolutely are.
They can either add back PvP specific stats, which at this point is a long shot in my opinion, or they can simply add 6 stat iterations for each item on the vendor so that...
I don't like that. I actually don't like the idea of having 6 stat combinations. I think that's too much. It would just... I don't know. Maybe... I think PvP stat is like... Why? The reason why I don't like it is that it... Having every single option available to you... I think that it just, in a way, makes it boring. But I'll admit I could be wrong about that, and I haven't thought about it all that much. I guess, like, in my mind, like, I just want the PvP stat. And I think the problem won't be solved until they have the PvP stat. And I think that having the 6 stat combinations will only exacerbate the problem that PvE players feel like they have to do PvP, and it will cause Blizzard to further fuck up the game. So it's like... I don't know. It's nuanced, but at the end of the day, I just want the PvP stat.
All the stat combinations are included, thus allowing PvPers the opportunity to form a complete set of gear with the ideal stats, and that's it. It's an easy fix and would finally create somewhat of an even playing field between the two communities. Please, Blizzard, everyone was so excited for PvP vendors to be back in the game. When I started playing in vanilla...
This is what's fucking sad, man, is like everything in fucking Shadowlands, like everything that they've done, it's all just been like the expansion hype has just gone down. Like, I don't know why, Blizzard, you guys did this. Like, why fucking do this shit, man? Like the expansion gets announced. Everybody was so fucking hyped up for it. They're like, we're getting PvP vendors back. You know, fucking the Shadowlands. We've got the Lich Kings coming back. And, you know, not really coming back, but, you know, it's kind of the same thing, right? got the covenants, and you know, like, you've got to fight these different factions, and you know, like, there are so many cool fucking things about the expansion with Shadowlands, and I still think the game will be fun to play. Okay, like, don't get me wrong, I would still recommend probably like playing Shadowlands, but at the same time, like, I'd never recommend, I don't want to ever recommend buying a game that's not out, because I think that it's kind of irresponsible. But I might accidentally say that. But, you know, if you're a WoW player, I think that you're probably already going to do it anyway. Regardless, though, this is just, it's just sad. It's just sad, man. That's the truth. It's just fucking sad. Like, I really, really wish that they would just get their shit together and do this. Like, please just do it. I don't understand. Like, it's just sad. Like, just make the game fun. Just make the game fun, man. Why is this like a fucking tug of war? Like, we should be on the same side.
And in Burning Crusade, PvP was a massive part of the game. Everyone did BGs. Everyone participated in duels in front of Orgrimmar and Stormwind, and because of all of the neglect on Blizzard's part, PvP is seen as a minigame now, despite it having the potential to be a massive form of content for all players. Fixing these vendors is a step in the...
All players is never going to do PvP, to be fair. At least I don't think so. But I do think that it could be, like, in Burning Crusade or Wrath, for example, a lot more people did BGs than they do now. Like, it feels like they did. I mean, obviously, like yesterday I was on my second stream, right? And I was in queue for Seething Shore for like 35 minutes total. Like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Like, who? Like, obviously, it's not, like, whatever they're doing isn't working because people don't want to play that game. As Alliance? Yeah, as Alliance. Imagine Horde. They're probably, they get like, oh, wow, we got a game today. Oh, my God. You know, they're excited. It's terrible.
Right direction, and I hope Blizzard can see that. And to be honest, it's pretty sad that I have to make a video like this in the first place. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to share this video with your friends, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Fucking cock ass, dude. Fucking cock ass. Like, it's such a disappointment. It really is. Dude, like, oh, man. Like, can you recap what is this here? Recap the video I just joined. PvP gearing in Shadowlands isn't as good as people think that it is because only certain stack combinations are available from the vendor, and then the vendor item levels are not competitive with raid gear. So you have 0 skill PvE content that just completely eclipses 0 skill PvP content. That's basically what it is. I'll watch the last, like, probably 5 minutes or so of the Venruki reaction to this, and then I want to move on and we'll talk about some other stuff, okay?
What you do, so the only way these vendors can be fixed, so this is the way I see it, okay? This is the way I see it.
All right.
The only way you can fix these vendors is by a couple different things. Number one, if you don't want to give good secondary stat choices, there has to be a PvP stat. That's one thing you can do. So you can go the PvP stat route where it doesn't really matter that you're...
This guy is so smart. What an absolutely smart thing to say. Fucking brilliant.
Your secondary stats aren't the best because you have this PvP stat, and that just makes you the best in PvP. So you don't really care because everyone in PvP is going to be on an even playing field, and if you have PvP gear, you're going to be the best in PvP because you have a PvP stat. So
yeah,
that's one thing they can do.
Exactly.
The second thing they could do is they could make a
real.
set bonus. So if you have the entire set bonus, you gain a bunch of a stat, and that's what he's seeing right here.
Really
so
smart.
Even if you don't have the best secondary stat bonus, imagine you had full PvP gear and you got a shit ton of PvP.
And that's another fucking thing, dude, is like back in the day, you'd be looking forward to getting your set bonus. Like, where's the fucking set bonuses, man? Like, That was so cool. Like, I loved set bonuses. It's like, even like the little stupid ones in Legion. It's like, oh, well, you get like the cool little 2 things and quarter stars, and then you get a little bit more damage. Ooh, you know, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, where the fuck's our set bonuses now? Like, since when is this bad? Like, I fucking love sets. This might be an unpopular opinion. I think Blizzard needs to add like 5 new inventory slots for new gear. Like, I want to add a fucking scabbard. I want to 2 chains that bitch and get another amulet. I want to get 4 rings. I want to get an extra trinket. I want to get a special class-specific item that's legendary only that you're able to get. Like, I want some new fucking gear, dude. I want, yeah, like, that's what I want to see. I know some people don't like that. I get it. Earrings? I don't wear earrings, okay? Like, that's weird. But 4 rings would be okay, or 4 trinkets would be okay. That's what I want to see in the game. And some guy said PvP glove pieces used to have specific bonuses too. You're goddamn right. They used to reduce your disarm duration and reduce the cost of hamstring. A cock ring? Yeah. Sure. Fuck it. Why not? Whatever works. Like, I want more pieces. Like, I think there should be a class-specific item that you have to do, like, a really long quest line for. You have to get it out of, like, a mythic raid. Like, a scabbard for warriors. Like, a librum for paladins. Like, a quiver for hunters. Like, a sigil for DKs. And, like, make it, like, really, really badass. And, like, you can pick, like, 3 or 4 of them. And it's, like, how you build your character. Like, that's fucking really, really cool. Like, I'd love to see that shit, man. And like, where's the excitement, dude? Totems,
power,
yeah, there
or
you
got
go.
a bunch of versatility while in PvP combat, something like that. Like, in PvP, you do 20% more damage and take 10% less damage.
Yeah, it's set bonuses.
Like, that way,
I like it.
You would just feel good about having arena gear. You would feel good about having, doing BGs and getting that gear.
Sigils,
having PvP set bonuses or a PvP stat is absolutely mandatory. The third thing they could do if they don't want to do a set bonus and they don't want to do a PvP stat, which it seems like they're really against, the third and final thing they could do is bring back reforging and bring back sockets. So
imagine that. I wish they could do that now. Like, I would have loved to see that. Like, sockets on gear, investment on gear, item upgrades on gear. Mists of Pandaria had some of the best gear customization that we ever had. And I'd love to see that come back too. I completely agree with this.
Bring back reforging and you bring back sockets, you can at least, it's still not going to be as good as doing dungeons and raiding, but at the very least, you can tailor those bad pieces of gear and customize them a little bit to be better for you. Yeah. So those are the only 3 options I see. They either add a PvP stat, they add a set bonus for using full PvP gear, or they add sockets and customization with reforging. If one of those 3 things doesn't happen, it's going to be the exact same scenario as in BFA, where PvP gear sucks. And you're going to end up using more than half your gear from dungeons and more than half your gear from raids. And if you don't raid and you don't do dungeons, you're not going to be good in PvP.
Yep.
And that sucks. That's really, really sucky.
Is that those items...
That's one way to look at it. I totally agree. I completely agree.
Point. Like, on the one hand, you can't say that it's too confusing to have a PvP stat and you need to farm a different set of gear and that sucks. Well, newsflash, on my mage, and I'm saying this with the most respect I possibly can, on my mage in BFA, I use haste versatility in PvP, and in PvE, I need full mastery. So
I like how Venruki can just explain something that's completely fucking neutral, and because he's Canadian, he still has to preemptively apologize for it. He's like, all right, I'm being as respectful as possible, but that's not true. You know, it's funny.
None of my PvP gear is going to be good for the raid.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you just said you don't want, but that's
what it is.
That's happening anyways.
Yeah.
And I also think BFA probably had the most confusing gear ever. I have never in my life.
I agree.
Had to, like, you actually need full add-ons to understeer. Like, I remember I was trying to play a fire on my alt, and I had 20 pieces of azurite. It literally took me 2 hours to look through all and determine like what were going to be the best.
Yep.
I was like looking for specific traits, and I wanted to get the right combo, and I swear it was the most confusing thing I've ever done in terms of gearing. So, in my opinion, having a vendor, having a PvP stat, the least confusing thing possible. If you want a PvP, you go get PvP gear.
Whoa, settle down.
You
hey,
want a PvE? You go
calm
get
down,
PvE
dude.
gear. I don't really think that's a big
deal. Chill, dude.
And I think,
the hell?
in my opinion, it's a little bit of a lame excuse.
Whoa.
No, I get for the most part they're trying to get away from that in Shadowlands, but it's pretty ironic that they're adding.
All right, let me see here. I'm gonna make sure I get through everything else. Okay, this is like his final thoughts.
Expansions. So this is something I think, and I've talked to a few of my friends about this. I think PvP was half the game in the early expansions. In the expansions that were the most popular and had the most subs, I think PvP was just as valuable, and the developers cared about PvP just as much as the other things. And I think that was really important. So I
really think that you can make a strong argument for that if you're talking about BC, Wrath, and Kata. Like BC, Wrath, and Kata, I felt like they really invested a lot of time into making PvP meaningful and good. Mists of Pandaria, fine. I can go with you there. That's fine. But I feel personally like Wrath, dude, they gave a fuck. They gave a fuck about it. In BC, dude, they gave a fuck about it. Was it half the game? That's arguable, right? I mean, for a lot of people, it was the whole thing. But it was certainly a bigger amount than it is now. That's definitely true.
In vanilla, it was a little weird. Like, PvP was a thing. Like, there was good PvP gear. Some of the best gear in the game came from PvP, but it was really hard to get. But in the Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King, when they added Arena, when they added rated Battlegrounds, it really felt like they cared. And the PvP gear was good for PvP. It wasn't seen as like a joke thing. So I think they need to go back to that. I love that.
That's exactly what I was saying.
I think sometimes that they undervalue how important PvP is in World of Warcraft. For me personally, the only reason I stick around and play WoW is because of PvP.
100%. And also, like, PvP is that way. I use this analogy like 100 fucking times, you know what I mean? Whenever you got a fucking weapon from a raid, you didn't go and be like, hey guy, who wants to queue up a random heroic? I'm gonna flex my dick around on a little bunch of nubs. No. You went into a BG. That's the first fucking thing that you did, dude. You went directly into a BG. You're like, let me take this long dick and show everybody how big it really is. And you're just slapping them around in the BGs. You see that big crit. Before you're only hitting for 1200s, now you're hitting 1600s. You're better than they are. And you know it. That's what it was about. Like, it's shit, dude. Like, BGs were, that was the reason why you'd raid. In a way, is for BGs. You can go in there and just beat the shit out of people. Like, why the fuck you think I nominated Ash Kondi for the entirety of BWL? Because I didn't give a fuck about who gives a fuck about the PvE? Nefarian's gonna die anyway. Who gives a fuck? But, like, you talk about, like, the actual, the PvP. Now we're getting serious.
What I love, there's a massive community that loves PvP,
yeah,
and we want to do that. We want to do BGs, we want to do Arena, we want the gear to not suck, we want to be able to make alts, we just want to play that version of the game, because to us, it's the best thing in the game. And there's a lot of people that are like-minded to me, Stoopzz obviously included.
The thing is, like, the game's going to come out, we're going to love the game, we're going to play the game for a while, and then the cracks are going to show, and, you know, people are going to lose interest. Like, that's the way every game is. But like, that's the reason why I've spent so much effort and time, like, giving feedback about this, is because I want to see the game be good, because I have a vested interest in the game being good. Do you guys want to watch me watch, like, just fucking react videos all day? Like, what am I going to play instead? I play Fall Guys for a while? Like, what about after that? Like, I don't know. Like, I've got to play WoW. Like, I want to play WoW. That's the game that I enjoy. Like, I wish that devs, like, I wish Blizzard didn't have, like, all these fucking weird-ass rules about, like, devs talking to the players. Like, Just fucking have Ian just come on streams and just talk about the fucking game. Have him just tweet about it. Be like, yeah, like, people thinking this one thing's happening in the game that's fucking stupid. Like, if Ian said somebody's idea about the game was fucking stupid, my confidence in Ian's leadership would skyrocket. I'd be like, wow, this guy's enough of an asshole to really be confident in what he's doing. You know? Like, he did for Preach. Well, he did for Preach. Well, that's good. And I thought that was a great thing. And I committed that a number of times. But, like, that's once. I want to see it. What about after that? You know?
Like, you know, getting honor gear. Like, I'm really happy that they added honor gear. Like, there's definitely things that
I'm
they
happy
did
about that
a great
too.
job of.
For
like,
casuals, it's really
even just
important.
bringing back the vendors in general is a good step in the right direction.
Yo,
but
thanks,
at the same time,
2 years.
Like, it's just not fair. It's just not fair, man.
No, it's not.
The honor gear sucks. Like, straight up. You look at
it's not fair, and I think that's fundamentally what it is. That's what Blizzard doesn't understand, is that fairness matters a lot to players, and I don't think they look at fairness in the way that it has a psychological impact on players. They just look at fairness from, like, a numerical and analytical perspective. So fairness does not mean that one guy goes into a mythic dungeon that takes 0 fucking skill and clears a mythic dungeon, and then he gets the same piece of gear than some guy that spends 10 hours farming for PvP. Like, these are two incompatible things, and the fairness element there just completely goes out the window. Fairness matters a lot.
honor gear, you don't get any of the stat. Like, Hydra, here, I'll show you something. I'm not even joking, guys. We need to make a stink about this. Like, I'm on your side. I really don't think the gearing system's good. I'm gonna share that video. I'm gonna put my video up on YouTube. I'm gonna give Stoopzz all the credit. But yeah, it's crazy. So this is what Hydra said to me. He said, "Yeah, I got my haste Versa gear ready. He said, I got my haste Versa gear ready. I haven't had a chance to PvE for the rest yet. No neck, no shoulders, no chest, no cape, no bracers, no ring, no pants."
Like, Hydra's been like a fucking PvP legend since, like, what, fucking Wrath? Like, this guy's been playing the game forever. Like, imagine how he feels. Like, this is fucking sad.
Gloves.
PvC? I remember watching this.
So this is what we're looking at for PvP gear. This is what you can expect if you want a specific stat combo. So that means if you want a neck, PvE for it. You want shoulders, go do dungeons. You want a cloak, go do dungeons. You want a chest, go do dungeons. You want bracers, go do dungeons. You want a second ring, go do dungeons. You want some pants, go do dungeons. You want some gloves, go do dungeons.
Yeah.
Otherwise, use bad secondary stats. That's literally it. There's got to be a better solution
with
than
lower
that,
item level.
To me, it's just not good, man.
Because you're comparing Mythic 0, right? But what about Mythic 5? Like, Mythic 5 is just going to blow the BG gear out of the water. It's just, like, that's the funny thing about it, is that, like, you're not even talking about that at all. I don't know. Should I make a tweet? Okay, so here's what I want to say here. I want to talk a little bit. I want to say, like, listen, this shit is fucked up, and it's not good. I don't like it, and I have a problem with it. So, this shit is fucked up. Okay, let's see here. Blizzard will never successfully balance PvP and PvE gear acquisition until they add a PvP exclusive stat. I don't know why there's a question mark. When was PvP gearing good? BC to WoD. When did it get bad? Mop? Well, what's wrong with WoD? What was wrong with WoD PvP gearing besides those stupid Ashran trinkets? Like, besides the stupid Ashran trinkets, why was it bad? It was fine. Stats. I think this is basically it. Add a stat. Make everyone happy. At Warcraft devs. At Watcher Ian. Remove scaling. Just focus on one thing at a time, guys. Focus on one thing at a time. I don't need to see a bunch of other shit. What kind? It doesn't matter what kind of stat. They could do 3 different kinds of stat. They could make versatility the PvP stat. They could bring back resilience. They could do PvP power. It doesn't matter. Like it ultimately doesn't matter. Like I don't have. There's not enough. I only have 9. No. Can I don't think I can do no scaling. Yeah, I'm just not gonna put that in there. Like that's not part of the conversation. Like let's just talk about this. Okay. Blizzard will never successfully balance PvP and PvE gear acquisition until they add a PvP exclusive stat. When was PvP gearing good? BC to WoD. When did it get bad? Legion, whenever they removed PvP exclusive stats. Add a stat, make everyone happy. Does this look good, gentlemen? Yes. Okay. Boom. They did do. They did do right there, dude. Here it is. Take a look. There's the post. Hopefully Blizzard will listen and they'll give us some actual fucking changes, because right now we don't have them and there's no reason to not have them.